Hello everyone, welcome to the live broadcast of the Design and Make programme here at the Architectural Association. My name is Emmanuel Verkreuse, and together with Martin Self we direct the course down in Hook Park. We're going to start this presentation with a little PowerPoint to illustrate some of the key components of the project. I think Martin, do you want to?
Yeah, thanks Emmanuel. So this is Hook Park. You can see in the middle here our little campus, our workspace, workshops, places to eat, live, and study. And the wood and beyond, so this is our industrial context, this is our world, our material source for what we do. So we're an MSc and an MArch master's programme based out in this campus. We inherited an amazing legacy from these guys, Vyoto there on the right. Basically, we are a design build master's programme that inhabits this place.
So it's really important to understand that the woodland is both our material library and our resource. I think one of the key aspects is that we make through experiments, but our main attitude is that we provide an alternative for a practice of architecture. So we are engaged with making and iterative designing. So the making is really the key act within the design process. So we'll explore the material, we're pretty hands-on. So the current project that we're developing is this library component for which we design and make all the components and the tooling. So these are some of the components on site. And this is a darkroom project that the students will be talking to you about in a little bit.
So the main premise of the programme is that we learn through doing. By engaging physically in the architecture, we gain this much deeper understanding of the intuitive and responsive aspects of how we work with our tools, how we work with the material, how we really work with the vision of a site and a context by living in it, breathing it every day.
So these are some of the unique tools that we make. So we reinvent or reappropriate some of the existing tools, and by attaching them to our robotic setup, we explore potentials of fabrications which are really exciting. And we combine that with so we combine analog and digital technologies. That's really important to understand, that it's not just digital. We spend loads of time using our hands and getting involved with the material.
So you'll hear from the students in a minute. We run two strands of the programme, an MSc and an MArch course, the MArch being 16 months and the MSc 12 months. You'll see in a minute we've recorded some footage from the students down in Hook Park. They're working away, super busy on their projects at the moment, and you'll get to understand the way that they interact with our workshops and material.
So let's have a look at the video.
So in the design and make course, what I most enjoyed was working with the materials that I would be kind of either drawing or just imagining in my mind, to be able to have that imagination and be able to construct it at first, whether it's kind of small prototyping and then getting to something that's building scale.
How about you, Blair? What do you enjoy?
Yeah, if I start to think, it's something that I really enjoyed since I arrived here in Hope Park. It's like, I mean, the place, first place, it's an amazing place. It's more than the place, also the people that work here. It's a lot of people that can teach you something, not just the tutors or the people that work here every day with the material, with the forest, with the workshop. It's the complete environment that you get, you learn by osmosis here. Every day and every single moment that you take a piece of material, you learn about it, learn about tools, and it's
there's like Charlie, the workshop manager, Chris, the forester.
Yeah, everything, every single moment
everyone's
you're learning something.
So knowledgeable.
Yeah, so I can say that this has been the more important part for me.
Or even just like the collaboration of different students of all these different countries coming together.
Yeah,
And
it's a
then with
magical
different
place.
backgrounds.
It's for me, if we talk about the word like experimental, is completely true. I mean, is each time that we receive a brief, just not just the design of the frames and even previous with the previous project, each time that you touch a piece of wood is related to one kind of tool that you need to feedback all the time, the design and the process. So it's like every single decision that we take in the frames or even in a test piece or prototype was completely informed by the tool, but the way that we use the tool, and also by the knowledge that were transferred from the people who teach us how to use the tool. So it's like, it's not just, never has been just a design decision. It's a design based on a complete net of cross information. So in each piece of prototype is completely, I don't know, informed and rich.
And so I think it was like since the very beginning of this project even, we had like sketches, and we tried to model, and then we couldn't model, so we built it physically, and then we scanned the physical model, and then it just kept going back and forth because our studio and the workshop is right beside each other. So it's this constant awareness of both the physical making of it.
That's why, I mean, the way that you discover much more stuff making them, not just in model, also like big prototypes. The feedback is always constant. Even in the fabrication, the design process is a path that never stops, always go in parallel with each making process. Rather in prototyping, even model making and physical one. It's like I
think like everyone also kind of experiences it together too. That like some people come from like more building background, some people come from more like drawing background. But all of us like contribute in both elements. We don't kind of necessarily just stick to our own kind of, whatever we're comfortable with. We all have to design a bit. We all have to construct a bit.
The same with, the robotic fabrication. The robot itself. the Charlie would be able to make the tool that the director create, and in the same way, continue the loop of everything. The version of the tooling also is related with the thing that we want to achieve, and also the design is shaped with the tool every time.
Yeah, that's true. So this building is composed of 14 individual sort of prefabricated parts. You have, as you can see in the model, 7 legs, which are kind of acting as columns, and then you have these 2 long sort of portal frames that span throughout the entire the width of the library, and then you have these smaller sort of what we call butterfly frames, 4 of them that cut transverse to these longer portal frames, and they are joined. As you can see in this, you have the legs connected to these transverse butterfly frames, and they are bolted, and in addition they're bolted kind of all together in one piece. It's partly also, I think there was kind of its development off of the previous year that did a lot of prototyping, and the kind of attaching the chainsaw onto the robot. And then this year, the opportunity to have a bandsaw on the robot was kind of a different sort of like a key opening sort of opportunity for us to utilize that tool.
And also it's quite important the difference between the last project that has been made in Hook Bar is like the amount of finesse that we want to achieve in the skeleton is quite different than the last project in a way. So we want to include a structure inside that is completely like well done and well finished in a way. We get inspired by like furniture makers and other kind of woodworks, not necessarily buildings, that show the hand in the shapes. I don't know how to express that. Like they're soft and the shape like are completely connected with the hand and make them so smooth and soft. And
because our original sort of like references started like skeletons and furnitures and things like that, and not only just its like aesthetical appearance, but also its kind of inherent strengths as a structure, and then so you're fascinated with kind of a structure that like a furniture in a building size. So this is where we fabricate those large sort of structures that was in our 1:10 scale model. Here in this big shed, what we call the big shed, we do our glue lamination, custom glue lamination, and not far away from that process we have this robot shelter where the robot kind of does all the custom tailored cutting that's programmed, I guess, by you, sitting right beside the robot.
No,
Oh.
Yeah, here in the robotic cell we made the chamfers and geometric cut that we need to make to shape the ruled pieces after they were ready, after the process of blanking and lamination that just happened just beside. So this is one of the big frames at the moment. So it's a very large piece that we want to activate in the space. So it worked like the piece need to move and reference in a different position. So in that way the robot can just reach the different points and corners to machining and sculpting. So it's one of the most challenging parts is just to make this process possible. So it's here when the process of all the process of machining and making became more important and all the accuracy that is needed to allow the robot work and perform properly. So everything is checked here when it came to the robot. So it's a constant process of learning and it's completely receive feedback every time of each of the other processes like lamination, the glue, stacking, the marking. We also need to follow like a very specific system of referencing points in the pieces to make it more as accurate as we want.
Yeah.
So everything is just growing and mixing together all the process.
Yeah.
So it's a complex like networking process between tooling system.
I'm Florencia, I'm from Chile. I've been here for 2 months now. We're phase 1 students.
And I'm Jack, and I'm from California, and we've been out here in the woods for the last couple months. This is our Core Studio darkroom project that we've been focusing on for the last so many weeks. And we kind of started off this project by getting this domino structure that was put together by the last year's students. If you want to grab the roof.
The first operation that we did was putting on a roof, 7.5 by 7.5 meters. That took us 1 week, so we can have a dry place to work underneath. And then we'll start thinking about the darkroom that has to go down there.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of along with putting up the roof, we were working on considering the design of the structure inside of the domino and kind of all these activities going on simultaneously. And once the roof was complete and up on top of the structure, we began constructing the darkroom building that's within the domino. It consists of a series of folded walls on this side.
Yeah, we start thinking about how this darkroom has to go with a light room. So in that side of the building goes the dark part of the program, and this is the light room with a square window looking at the forest. So and this folding wall takes out the furniture, we think, and some kind of the equipment tables, etc. And you have the entrance from this side.
Right now we're working on the cladding of the building, so this model shows a few different of the options that we're considering, a raw cedar finish and a charred finish, and then over here is an example of the weathered cedar once it's been outside for a few years.
So we are here inside now. This is the dark room. This is the crew, my guys. You can see because this was like a quick exercise and the final product is one-to-one building. We have this big gesture that is that square window and these folding walls. And this is where are we now, 5 weeks into the project.
Yeah, I think this has been a really great experience, working in the one-to-one scale and getting hands on different materials. And
it's been pretty amazing, the process of making the 1-to-10 model, and then to actually be standing here now and seeing this building up and almost done, ready. And almost the same strategy that we used to build the 1 to 10 model, kind of, is this exactly the same. How do we put this together yesterday? So it's been an amazing experience and a constant learning process on how to build something quick. And teamwork, we've been working as a team very well, I think, for my end.
Okay, big hello from the outside. This is the best way to look at the forest, so when you come to Hook Park, you definitely have to come to the darkroom.
So hopefully that gave you a perspective of what it means to be a student of Design and Make out at Hook Park. We've been receiving some questions, so we'll try and answer some of those. One that came in is a question about criteria. What criteria are needed for entering the Design and Make programme in terms of skill set, whether you need Grasshopper background, whether it's useful to have built things or had experience in the workshop. I think we can maybe answer that quite well.
Sure. I mean, obviously, it's always handy to have a bit of experience with some of the components that we deal with, but the key thing to understand is that the full first term, we use that time for skill development. So we perceive there are 6 fundamental tools that we work with, and we spend the first 3 months becoming really efficient within those. So that ranges from analog fabrication skills to digital tools like Grasshopper, and looking into fabrication methodologies like robotic fabrication or CNC machining. Something else that came through is what's the difference between the MSc and the MArch course?
Shall I answer that one? So Design and Make runs as a bifurcated programme. So we start the course with the MSc and the MArch working together, and both programmes fundamentally we design through making. So right from the outset we're working hands-on, engaging physically in what we're doing. The ultimate output is slightly different. So the MArch is a 16-month programme, and those students, their main project is working collaboratively, collectively on a full-scale permanent building, components within that, contributing to the built legacy at Hook Park. The MSc's is a bit different. It's a 12-month programme. It's open to a broader intake of students, so whereas the MArch is more about students who've completed a conventional architectural training, the MSc's is more broadly open. So we've had some artists, some engineers who've come into the programme, and their main focus is a bit more individual, and it's about pursuing timber technologies through full-scale prototyping. So it's working with the technologies like the robotic arm within the workshop, with our material, exploring technologies, still kind of contributing to our research and projects at Hook Park, but a bit more of an experimental focus that can be, I suppose, take a bit more risk than the more holistic work that the MArchs do on the full-scale permanent architecture. Here's another question. Someone's asking whether it makes sense to visit Hook Park before making an application.
Well, we kind of hope that from the videos you noticed that we are not based in a traditional architectural building. We're out in the forest. So due to that really exceptional setting, it really makes sense to come and have a look, because students are residential out with us in Dorset in the forest. So it's a really good thing to do. It's not compulsory, but if you are going to spend a year or a year and a half with us, we highly recommend you come and have a look at our fantastic location. Another question is, can I apply to the MArch programme if I'm not a professional architect? And what are the acceptable related disciplines? This one for you.
So I think I mentioned before the MSc and the MArch have different intakes. Generally for the MArch, we expect students to have completed a 4 or 5 year professional, basically architectural study to a professional level. Exceptions can be made if there's a very particular professional kind of in-practice experience that is equivalent to that, to that degree of expertise. With the MSc, it's broader, so we expect a first degree, to a bachelor's level in a relevant discipline. So as I mentioned before, we have taken on artists who then evolved their interest to be around wood or making, and then this is a course that makes sense for them. I guess other design background has come into our programs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to understand within the program that we're really, we're really looking to put a team together. So we don't want 12 people that are digital experts. We want people that have manual skills and have some have a diverse background. So really to put a team together, so we can all work together towards building our experimental constructs. I think that's important to understand.
Another question here about accommodation. Will the School of System and Accommodation endorse it? We obviously understand that it's a different situation to a student arriving in a big city. So the first term we actually accommodate the students. We pay for their accommodation and sort them out. After that, it's up to the students to decide. Some students stay on site, living on the campus itself. Other students are keen to be a bit more engaged in the community outside the woodland itself and find spaces outside of Hook Park. But it's an amazing place to live. We're near the sea. It's a fantastic bit of England. So it's an interesting, very rich alternative to a conventional urban place to study.
So then, last one on our list here is, where do most graduates go on to work? Well, I guess that's quite diverse, but as we mentioned in the introduction, what we really aim to do is provide an alternative practice for architecture. So quite a lot of our graduates attempt to set up an alternative practice to engage with making and fabrication that slightly offsets your conventional office job. So I guess there's a plurality within that.
Yeah, quite a few have gone on to teach, interestingly, sort of taking our teaching model and taking it to other parts of the world. Some people go back into conventional practice, some really get hooked on the making, some have become timber framers after doing our course. So there is a real richness in where people go after what we do.
Great.
That's it for the immediate questions. There's probably just a couple of things to add, because there's a lot more information obviously about the course online. There's a website easily found. We can probably maybe end this with the web address. We have an Instagram presence, a Facebook page, and we're actually doing a takeover of the AA's Instagram account next week, so there'll be lots of material live coming out from Hook Park through the week next week.
Yeah, I mean, we hope we answered a couple of questions. If you have any more queries, please find our details online and get in touch. We're eager to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.